Homeschool versus public school versus remote school, pandemic school, online school. Let's talk about these things. Hi, I'm Lana and I'm a homeschool mom of 3 children. All of my 3 children were not always been homeschooled. My oldest son was in a public school system for 4 years. My middle daughter was in a school for 3 years, and my youngest was in the kindergarten in a public school system. My children were homeschooled for almost 2 years now. Also, I have a lot of friends whose children right now in a public system, and when pandemic started, they had to bring their children home and educate their children remotely, but it was all under the public school. So let's compare those 3 options. If you're considering homeschooling or you're considering take your children from the public school and educate them at home, this might be a good video for you so you can decide for yourself what works best for your family and for your children. Since I'm homeschooling currently, this would be easier for me to start to comparing everything to the homeschooling. What is the difference between public schooling, homeschooling, and remote learning? Let me tell you right in front that the public schooling and remote learning would be 2 very similar areas. Because in other words, remote learning or online learning is the same public school but at home. You can call it public school at home. So let me outline for you the main differences. In a public setup, you are not the boss, you are not the teacher, you are not controlling anything. Teacher is a main provider of education for your child. You are only responsible to bring your child in a certain time, put him in front of the computer and set him up. So as a parent, you are not making decisions what your child will learn this year or what curriculum you're gonna use. Also, you are not making any decision on the methods of education for your child. Only in a homeschool setup, you as a parent have a full control over what methods are you using to educate your child, which curriculum you pick, what are the means that you will be using to educate your children according to his ability. That is the biggest difference. Now let's go through the differences one by one. So in a homeschool setup, you have a full flexibility over your schedule and planning. You schedule what time in the morning your school starts. You schedule when you're taking a break. You schedule in vacations. You can choose educate your child all year round. Or you can copy public setup and take a break when a public school takes a break. But then you're missing on the very good benefit. Because if you're planning a vacation, you can take a vacation in the least busiest time of the year. You can also arrange all your field trips in the less busiest hours. The other benefit of flexibility is that if somebody in your family is sick or had to do some sort of emergency, you always can take a break whenever needed. Which in public setup, it would be a little bit more complicated to pull your child out of the school and take care of your family business. If you're in a public school right now, you probably know how rushed our mornings are. You try to wake your children in time, then you rush them to the buses, or you drive them to school yourself. This is all annihilated in homeschooling. Also think about all those money you will be saving of not buying a bus pass to your children. I don't know how about your area or place where you live, but in Canada here, where I'm living, bus costs $800 per child. So if you have 3 children, you do the math. Of course, you can argue that homeschooling also costs money, and you will be right. If you are homeschooling, you are responsible to buy all the materials, all the curriculums for your child. It also includes all the books that you want your child to use, all the stationeries, all those snacks you have to buy. I'll give you that as a cons for the homeschooling. My tip for that of fixing the budget situation would be that if you have opportunity when homeschooling is a priority for you, I would research which state or province have a funded homeschooling. I'm very fortunate in this matter because I live in a province that take care of a homeschoolers very well. We get reimbursed up to $850 per child in my province. I'm very, very thankful, and it's a huge, huge help. So do your research before you start homeschooling. Maybe it will make sense for you to move to a different state or province. I would do that because homeschooling and education of my own children is on high priority for me. So it's well worth it, even if the government wouldn't pay me anything. There are also ways how to homeschool on a budget. So much resources available for free nowadays. We have YouTube, we have websites where you can watch videos, where you can have documentaries. You can print thousands of educational materials for free from internet. It's not like 20 years ago when nothing was available. Okay, let's move on to the next point or difference. If you are homeschooling, you have a huge privilege to tailor the education according to your child's needs. For example, in my own family, I have a child that's very advanced in math and science. In a public school, while others were doing something basic and the time was spent to calming down and disciplining the class, my son was utterly bored. He didn't know what to do because everything that was taught he already knew 2 or 3 years ago. Right now, when he's homeschooled, he has an opportunity to go on his own pace. So for example, he is in the grade 5, but he is doing mathematics or algebra of the grade 8. On the other hand, my daughter, who doesn't like math, and she was really struggling in a public school, when she started homeschooling, I had time to slow it down and go on her own pace and help her and teach her and spend time with her one-on-one. And now, even though she's not starting loving math, but she is going steady and less serious. And I really think she improved in this area just because I have time to spend with you. So again, in a homeschooling, you have an opportunity to adjust education to abilities and needs of your child, which is in a public setup, this is not possible. Okay, speaking about remote schooling, it would be pretty much the same as a public school. The only difference is just the location. Instead of sitting in a classroom with your friends, you're at home and only computer is your teacher. You're sitting and you have to focus on what's being taught through the screen. The next difference between all of these forms of schooling is that life is education. If you are homeschooled, your children are always around you. School happens not only when we sit down at the desk and do our workbooks or worksheets. Either we're cooking, either we're going for a walk. In the store, you can teach them addition and subtraction, practical money use. Next difference specifically for me, I know if my children are home, I know what I teach them. I know who are they friends with. I know which influence they are receiving. Do you want it or not, there is a certain doctrine that being instilled in your children's brains every single day by the public government education. I homeschool my children because I care about their spiritual, physical, and mental state. The worldview that are taught in the public school and the worldview that are taught in homes are totally might be different. And for me, it's very important what I teach my children. Next difference is a diverse education. Imagine your child in a public setup. He is surrounded by the same children that are the same age as your child. What can children of the same age teach each other? So in the family setup with the multiple children, child is learning from the multiple perspectives and he has a wider worldview. The other difference is relationships. Relationships between the members of the family and siblings. I can tell you from my own experience, it's such a joy to watch how my children love each other and how they support each other, how they always together. Homeschooling strengthening relationship between parents and siblings. Nowadays, I see the tendencies that trying to separate family. Parents against children, children against parents. From my opinion, this is not right. Just consider all the TV shows. Parents are being laughed at. Parents are being put in a position of total disgrace. I am totally against this setup. That's why I'm homeschool my children. We learn to respect each other. We also strengthening the parental authority for children because that is protection for them. These are the main differences. Of course, there are lots of little things that you can consider. Do you want to send your child to public school or educate at home? It depends on your family situation, depends on your work schedule, and depends on your priorities so much. Have this in mind. If you are educating your own child, you have a complete freedom. You know your child the best. You want to bring up your own child, not to give them to a stranger to bring up, which is totally brain-blowing idea to me. I brought that child by God's grace into this world, and I am responsible to teach that child. And in this video, I'm not even talking about how beautiful of experience we having together, learning every day. I learn it together with my children. We also have time to enjoy things we love. My children also have time to figure who are they in this world, what are their talents, what they love, what's their hobby. Because of school done mainly from 9 to 12, my children have time for the whole afternoon to figure and know what they like to do in their life. In a public school, curriculum are not tailored to your child. It's just a general system that you have to go through no matter what. After they go through this curriculum, they have to go through tests, which is a stressful situation because tests are not showing the personality of your kid. If your child fails in a test, it doesn't mean he's not successful. You just don't judge the carpenter as if he was a surgeon, right? Everybody has their own abilities and their own talents. In homeschool, you don't test your children by the standardized tests. I'm not saying that public school is complete failure. For some people, it's the only way to go. It doesn't mean your child won't grow up smart or intelligent, but sometimes we have to think, can we give our children something more? And if you can, I encourage you to do it. Let me know if you're considering homeschooling this year, because in our area, lockdowns are starting going again. And I see many families trying to decide, should they do an online school or they should go full-time homeschooling. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.